the topic of reparations, as you mentioned, has been in Britain, and it's obviously been on the minds of people in the United States as well. But I think that people may not know that since 1975, a permanent government body has been established in New Zealand to hear and decide on claims of historical grievance from those who descended from the original Polynesian migrants. Since then, thousands of claims have been submitted, and about 75 to 80 have been acted upon, which has resulted in billions of dollars and land assets being transferred from New Zealanders and New Zealand taxpayers to the claimants. Supporters say that this body has done important work in redressing historical wrongs, and critics have highlighted the perverse incentive structure that the body creates and how outlandish some of the claims have become, including some of the ones that have been acted upon. I've come to the belief that we're now locked into a dysfunctional, permanent system of reparations that encourages this kind of historical grievance and racial division based on the premise, the idea that British settlers wronged the local population in the mid-1800s, so 200 years ago, which has become increasingly solidified into the legal framework and into the nation's psyche, which I think is maybe even more astounding. So what do you make of this, Professor Biggar?
Well, yeah, you're right. And something similar has been happening in Canada, although I don't think it's more recent in Canada. It's since about 2006, I think. And the forces of resistance are growing in Canada, I think. As for New Zealand, yes, you're right. I mean, in terms of just on the issue of reparations for let's say the claims of land, an eminent legal philosopher from New Zealand, Jeremy Waldron, who now teaches in New York, has written on this issue and makes the point that whatever the injustice in the past, the value of land now is not the value of land then. Then, for everybody, land was the basis for subsistence, for survival. Nowadays, New Zealanders, most of them, and I guess most Maori people, many Maori people, earn wages in cities, and also they enjoy welfare state. So trying to do justice in relation to the past by, as it were, history doesn't put you back in the same place. It puts you in a very different place. So I'm really skeptical of a lot of reparations in terms of the restoration of land, both in New Zealand and in Australia and in Canada. It's not clear to me it actually does justice. It actually gives unprecedented advantage. So there's that. Yeah, and as for the entrenchment of these views in institutions and law, you're right. The prospect of digging it out again is well, it's exhausting, the thought of having to try and do it. But one can hope that over time, the truth about the past will begin to penetrate. And if my book eventually got published, it was counseled by one publisher. It did get published. It's now sold about 65,000 copies worldwide. There are other books not unlike it that are being published. I was taken out to Australia, New Zealand, and Canada to speak about it. So there's an appetite to hear what the views that I am putting about, and your podcast will help to do that. There may come a time when there's a review, a rethinking in New Zealand about these things, and I'm aware that the Treaty of Waitangi and what it means, what it should mean, is controversial politically. So it's not as if these issues, I think, in New Zealand are now dead and buried. They're not. They're still alive. And so long as there's controversy, and so long as we disturb the orthodoxy, at some point it may become clear, even to Maori people, this is really not helping.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think to a lot of, again, it's this false binary, but a lot of Maori people, a lot of people with Polynesian ancestry, they see through this and they don't buy into it at all. In fact, one of our most prominent politicians, Winston Peters, has Maori heritage. I think as do several sort of dissenting voices who are actually part of the coalition government in New Zealand at the moment. So there certainly are people who know that this is BS and who don't buy
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah, and so you've got the hopeful example of Australia, where the giving to the 3% of Aboriginal Australians a privileged voice to Parliament was voted down, and one of the most prominent leaders of the anti-voice to Parliament campaign was Jacinta Price, who is part Aboriginal. When I was there, I met another also skeptical Aboriginal Australian, Warren Mundine, I think that's his name. So yes, I mean even Aboriginal leaders are beginning to voice dissent. So although I think the task before you in New Zealand is a very formidable one, the fact that Aboriginal leaders are beginning to voice these views is enormously encouraging.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So there's definitely hope.
There's hope.